Okay, once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people who join in different regions. Uh, Today our session is Marketing Cloud Contact Builder. We covered many of the entitlements in Contact Builder. We covered data designer, we covered data sources, and today we're going to cover the imports inside the Contact Builder. Which is very small topic, but it gives them clear idea on what imports can do inside the Contact Builder. So it's a kind of a process, like create the process that move contact information to your data extensions, how you move your contacts information into your data extension. So that's the topic today. And coming to myself Anindra, I'm based out of Singapore and I work with Abistoki Singapore. It's a Salesforce Platinum Consulting Partner company. And I have my own blog, salesforce.wordpress.com, which can talk about a lot of cross cloud integrations and pretty much technological advanced topics. And coming to our today's agenda, today we would like to talk about our significance of data imports in Contact Builder and different kinds of import definition actions and how to create an import definition and how to view the import definition, edit the import definition, and delete the import definition. Okay, and finally, if any questions and answers, I'll happy to help you out throughout the session. I'll take a pass for each and every slide. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take you through and I'll explain you whatever the beneficial that what you have. Okay. So let's jump into a topic. What is import in Contact Builder? Hope you're aware of it. In typical marketing cloud, so the first question is where I can see this import in Contact Builder in Marketing Cloud. So if you can look at this, if I can go back to the Marketing Cloud. So this is the home screen of Marketing Cloud, right? So in Marketing Cloud, so you have an option under Audience Builder. We have a Contact Builder. You just click on Contact Builder, and inside the Contact Builder, as I told, there are many of the options which is running as a part of the different sessions altogether. So which is data designer, all contacts, data sources, data extensions, and imports. So this is a topic that we would like to cover today under data, under Contact Builder. What is an import all about, right? So this is a navigation where all the folks has to go and then find out, is there any imports happening within the Marketing Cloud? Is there any contacts have been inserting into your data extensions, right? So that is the screen navigation. Let's go back to our presentation and find out more what is import inside the Contact Builder. Okay, so the import tab in Contact Builder, the one which I've showcased, which will display is a complete list of import definitions. So complete list of import definitions, nothing but through Automation Studio, you can able to import. You could import the data from Salesforce Sales Service Cloud via import file activity, right? So all those definitions we're calling as import definitions normally. Those import, everyone calling as an import activities, but in the backend, it creates an import definition which will help you out for managing your data inside your Salesforce Marketing Cloud. At the same time, you could leverage the same definition in API integrations as well. That we will talk about later point of time. But for now, an import definition is to bring the data linking to your contacts into your data extensions, nothing but your account. So it's a simple, it's a simple process which you can insert the data into data extensions via import. That's it. Nothing fancy, just a simple definition. You just need to import the data because there are so many ways inside Marketing Cloud. You can insert the data into data extensions, but this is one of the process where we would like to highlight. From this also, you could able to import the data into data extensions. Okay. So as I've told, this is a process where I've told you, right? You can go to the Marketing Cloud and then there's a Audience Builder. Under Audience Builder, there is a Contact Builder, and under the Contact Builder, there is an imports as an option where you can see all the import happening throughout the Marketing Cloud, irrespective it is from Automation Studio or it is from the manual import process that what you created. Okay. So under import, so we need to identify and understand, is there any different kind of import definition actions available? Of course, there are different kind of import definitions available. Those definition actions are view an existing import definition, create a new import definition, edit an existing import definition, delete an existing import definition. So these are all the import definition actions available inside import under Contact Builder. And let's see how we can able to create an import definition to import the data into Marketing Cloud. Okay. and you can find out many options while creation of an import as well. Let me see if anyone has any questions so far, so that we'll happy to address those. If not, then I think we should be able to go ahead with this. Okay, no questions so far. So let's go back to our import definition. So we'll create a one import process. Okay, you just click on create, and in Marketing Cloud, you have an options where you can insert the data into a data extension via an import definition. And there is one more option where you can create an import definition to insert the data into a list as well. So for 90% of marketers, what they do is to insert the data into data extension because they would like to leverage this data extension for longer term. And for list, some ad hoc campaigns where if you want to send some birthday wishes to, or if you want to send a newsletter to your company folks, where you can leverage list, and then probably later point of time it's a one time, right? Then those kind of a cases where people will go to the list normally. Okay, so I'll go to the data extension, I'll click on OK. So here I have an options. Okay, I have an options. So the options are, I have an option to choose the file from my desktop, and then I can be able to import into a data extension. I have another options where I can choose a file from an FTP file location. From file location is nothing but an FTP. So that FTP typically where you have a data sitting in somewhere, maybe Oracle database, or maybe sitting in Informatica, or maybe sitting in different enterprise databases where we don't have a direct connector to the databases. The ideal solution would be around, you can use a file transfer protocol, FTP, SFTP options to ingest the data into Marketing Cloud, right? So that kind of an options, you have to use a from file location, and then you have to define the respective file name, which is a proper file name which contains your file name, maybe test at the to define your year, month, date, and year, a kind of a format what you have to follow as per Salesforce recommendations, right? You have to follow a file name, the format, and then you have to choose a respective data extension where you would like to bring out the data extension, where you would like to insert the data into a destination inside your data extensions. And then you have an options where you can choose the import settings, import type. You want to add and update the data, or you want to only add the data or update the data and overwrite the data. You have multiple import options available in Marketing Cloud. And within the import options, you have multiple options that I'll talk in the next slide. What is the use of these three options, right? So pretty much this is how we can cover, and we can choose any other as well. Upload file, and you can choose if you want to skip upload file. You have one more options where you can choose from file location. There are some situations, right? I have a data funny which is already there inside data extension. I just want to update the data using a primary key. I want to overwrite the data using a primary key, right? So those kind of an options are also available. You can just choose a data extension, and then the extension that where you would like to update your data, overwrite your data. Those kind of operations you can also be able to achieve using import process via import definition. Okay, so I'll go back once again. I'll go and then create a one simple file to import the data into a data extension with many options. So here I'll just create one simple file. Again, all our files has to be stored under a CSV format, comma, delimited separations. So let's create a one simple file, name, last name, country, and you can choose your email, and you can choose your maybe let's go with first four. Let's fill the details. So let's take right. So I have a file with the data. Some sample data is ready, and then I'm going to save this data. under my downloads. And as I said, you have to choose a CSV comma delimited file. Click on save. Okay. Now I had some issues with my Excel. I just forget about it. So now I have the file ready with my header, first name, last name, country, and email. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Salesforce import process. I'll click on create. Now I'll choose a data extension. And I'll choose a file that what I've created. So in this, I'll have an import CSV. Now I have an option, my CSV comma delimiter with the date format, English United States, where if any of the, there are some companies where they work with the local data regulations and local date formats also, because they want to trigger an email or their marketing cloud enterprise account, which is the time format of their own local time, maybe Alaska in France or Albania. So based on it, you have to choose. So ideally, everyone choose English United States, and you have an option where you can choose where you want to store this data. So I can keep this will be stored under my data extensions. So I can put this on sample data, and maybe I'll create one more so that. So once I've choose my data extension, the destination, and I do have an option called import settings. So these import settings, it have an ability that you can choose add and update, and you have an add option, update option, or return option. So here you can choose an add only option. So these three options, the import options, what you have and what it explains to you is, it explains you a better way. Skip rows in the import file with bad data is nothing but if any of the rows which contains a blank values or which contains some special characters. So those kind of a data, the rows will be skipped out from the import file. And there is another called respect double quotes as text delimiter. Suppose some of the files which contains double characters, something like this, right? Few of the file, they'll not done the proper normalization, and they're planning to do this something like this. So if this is a kind of a cases where a system is recommending to respect those double quotes and then make them as a text qualifier, so ignore those kind of a double quotes. The other thing is normalize numbers based on locale. So there are some values which contains, let's suppose if I have a phone number, right? If I have a phone number, if I enter data something which is not a right format based on the locale, so what it does is it automatically give you an ability to normalize those numbers based on locale. So locale nothing but we define the account settings. We do have an option to set up the locale, so it automatically takes the number as a locale number, and then we'll be trying to insert the data into data extensions. So that's how it works. Apart from this, for now, what I'll do is I'll just choose the skip rows and import file with bad data. I click on next. So see here, I have an options where it'll give you map by ordinal. Ordinal is nothing but your first name, last name, country. It automatically take you some of the information. But here the subscribe, the data extension that what I've chosen has the details called subscriber key, email address, first name, preference ID, date of birth, last name, and preference color, and all these details. So because I just want to map my existing data extension to the respective respective file that what I've created. But ideally, I forgot the step. In order to import the file, the first step that what you have to do is you have to create one data extension in the backend as well. That I forgot to inform. So let me go back and then create a data extension first. So I'll keep the sendable option, and I use this testable option as well. So I don't want any data retention policies. I'll go and then create my name, last name, email, and country. So these are all my details. I'll make my email as my subscriber key. Just click on complete. My test bit successfully completed. I'll go to the imports. I'll create a new import process with data extensions as I've told. I'll choose a file that what we have created, and I'll choose the test with the data extension that what I've created. I'll click on next. I'll just choose add only. Okay. Okay. Let me define one primary key as well. I'll go to my test E. I'll make you one more field. So I'll make my field as maybe my employee ID, which is my number. Or let's take the text field again, which contains both. And I'll make this as required. Okay, so I'll create one more. Maybe I'll create one more attribute, making a difference of maybe a designation. I'll choose the text again, and I'll make to create. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go and then make my email related to my subscriber key here. And now I'll just check it out. Is there any availability that what I can go and then choose my employee ID as my primary key in order not to make any duplicates. So I'll just change my file format also to make it more employee ID. And I'll just choose my designation as well. And I'll save this file again with import with. I'm ready with the file. I've created a data extension. Now let's go and then start an import process. I use a data extension, clicked on OK. I'll choose a file from my import by CSV. I'll just use the add option only. I'll choose my data extension, which we have created as a part of the test bit. And then I click on next. So I'll have an options here to map by ordinal, which is nothing but whatever I have created. So just take an employee ID, first name, last name. So we just need to modify a little bit. So I'll go with the map by header row so that it automatically matches the map by header row values, employee ID to employee ID, first name, last name, email, country, designation. If you want to map manually, you have an option to click on map manually, and then you can choose the respective value from the drop down to import the data into a data extension. I'll go with the map by header row and I click on next. And here you just need to define the data definition name, because this definition we can leverage in journey builder as well as an API entry, right? I'm going to put the definition name. Maybe I'm going to put the definition name with test with data extension and keep any external ID. To keep that also not a problem, it automatically generated your description, testing, import process. And here is a one more option where file naming pattern. If you don't have any file naming pattern, you can just left the option as a wildcard. If you have something which you want to showcase in a month wise, day, year wise, you can just choose that as well. Ideally, you can just left the value as a wildcard always. And there are some import qualification. Let's suppose if you have a bunch of data with millions of data, which has more than some certain size. If there is a more than it, if your file contains more than 20 MB, ideally you have to, this import process won't support if the file is more than 20 MB. You have to use the operation with FTP only if the file size is more than 20 MB. If anything less than 20 MB, you can go ahead and use this import definition process. And import qualifications you have, if you want to skip if the last import was less than 1 hour, or if fail if the file is older than 48 hours, or allow system buffer of 2 hours. So these things will improve your quality of the data insertion as a part of an import definition process. But ideally, we don't have any qualifications currently because we have not done anything much. Just click on next. Now it will it will tell you the details about your reference file, that what you have inserted with 6 columns, and the import definition that what we created with the file pattern and the key, and the data will be importing into a data extension that what we designed. So this is a mapping and import type, import options, and import qualifications, right? And then click on finish. So once you click on finish, there's a process which runs in the backend here. You just click on this process, and then you can see the respective properties of the definition that what you have created. You see the external key, which is nothing but definition, the import definition key, and you look at the respective details of the file naming pattern and the import settings that what we have enabled, and the notification that whom you want to send the notification once the import process has been completed successfully. So here you don't have, you can go and then check it out. Is there any process, is there any email which you receive it as a part of the import process? If not, it'll take a time to insert the data. So we can go back and then check in data extensions if it is already done. If not, it'll take a time to insert the data into our data extension. So it's not inserted. It's not, I haven't got any notification as well. Let's see if we got a notification. Then we can look at after some time. So this is how we can insert the data into data extension using import process. But the biggest question is everybody asks you, right? Because in data extension also you have an option to import the data into a data extension from the file, right? You do have the same options. You don't need to create an import process to perform these actions, right? But everyone has a question where what is the use of this import definition? I'll explain a bit, which is very clearly what is the process of, what is the use of import definition. Okay. Well, in a real time marketing cloud omni-channel perspective, marketers won't have a time to insert the data always into an import definition exercise, or they don't have time to insert the data into data extensions, or they're working in a silo, a multi-siloed perspective. Your data sitting in somewhere, maybe your data sitting in your data sitting in MuleSoft, okay, or your data is been, because MuleSoft nothing but the middleware. Your data is sitting in somewhere, maybe we can calling as SAP, okay, and ideally you have a middleware to talk to SAP, because SAP will send the data to Mule, and ideally the Mule will be going to talk to Salesforce and ingest the data into a data extension, ideally. So take an example scenario. A customer went to any shopper stop, and then he done a shop purchase of, maybe he done a purchase of, let's take an example of, let's take example. So Funny is a person went to shopper stop, okay, and then he purchased two jean pant, right, and then he purchased two t-shirts, which is cost around like approximately, he done 4 line items. He purchased 4 line items with an invoice of uh, 5,000 INR, right? So the shopper stop, inside shopper stop, they're using a platform for their entire e-commerces, and the transaction database they're using is SAP. So the data will be feeding into SAP platform, and ideally, what Fanindra will expect is whenever I done a payment, so my expectation is something where I'm going to receive a kind of an email on my invoice. So I'm expecting here sitting in kind of an email to be sent to my email via any marketing platform. Okay. So this is what the scenario, because your customer sitting in somewhere with purchasing on purchase transactions or somewhere in SAP, and customer will look into it in a fraction of minutes or seconds. Customer will receive an email from Marketing Cloud or any other marketing platforms. So looking at these perspectives, what is the best way to implement a solution in Marketing Cloud? Okay. So the best way to implement a solution in Marketing Cloud is SAP will load the data into a table, nothing but a transactions, which contains your customer ID, which contains the first name, which contains the last name, which contains the email address, which contains the phone number, which contains the order line items, how many number of order line items, what is the total transaction amount, right? So this is what minimum data that what SAP system expecting from a front end, a POS terminal. Okay, let's consider POS terminal. Okay, the point of sale. So now whenever I done a shopping, I done a purchase, I've done the payment, a data will travel to SAP. In SAP, a record will be creating with the transaction record. So the expectation, this data, ideally we can't able to integrate SAP with SAP with our SFMC. We can't able to do that. Either we need to do via Mule or any other third-party middleware. So ideally nowadays everyone using Mule to connect to SAP to bring the data, because this is also a kind of a kind of an API activity, and the Mule also SFMC is a kind of a Marketing Cloud REST API. Okay, so once the Mule receives the request from SAP, a record of Fanindraj, immediately SAP MuleSoft is going to hit Marketing Cloud REST API. Okay, Marketing Cloud REST API, and then it will be check. Mule not only require an endpoint, it also requires your structure of your data model. That structure of a data model has to be done through import definition. Import definition. That's called in typically we can call it as an API definition key. API definition key normally. So what it does is, so we need to provide an API definition key. We need to provide the structure of a JSON, that what we design, ultimate data extension structure, API definition key, along with the authentication parameters of our Marketing Cloud. So once we given this, in order to given this, what you have to do, you have to build a data extension. You have to build a data extension in Marketing Cloud with the same structure of SAP. You see the same structure that what you have designed, the same structure you have to build in SAP. And then you have to build a data extension of transactions. And you have to hand over this, the data extension data model via JSON through Postman request or anything. And then you can hand over it to Mule. So Mule will hit the data extension via Marketing Cloud REST API. And after that, what it does is they'll go and then feed the data into SAP data extension transactions table. Now, using this definition key, what I'll do is I'm going to create a journey builder. I'm going to create a journey builder. I'm going to create a journey builder with the definition key. Nothing but API import definition key. And then I can directly inject whenever a transaction is going to be hit into SFMC. SFMC stores the data into data extension. It immediately call into journey builder via API entry activity, and immediately it will be triggering an email to customer. So this is what the whole process of the entire typical purchase scenario from the customer to an omni-channel Marketing Cloud perspective. So this all required the way that what we have designed so far and import the same sort of thing. We design a data model, we create an import activity, and then we are able to ingest the data into a data extension, and we can leverage the same import definitions into your journey builder as well. So like this, the process of the contact builder inside import process will give you a lot of comfort and flexibility to manage your customers' expectations, right? So the same thing, one more scenario. So your customer, this is a whole sorted an API scenario, an API definition key scenario, an import API definition key. There's one more where the customer is sitting in a database. Customer done a transaction, but unfortunately I don't have Mule, but I have the same kind of a concept. I have SAP, same concept. I have an SAP. I have the same kind of a concept, but I don't have a Mule. Now I'm going to introduce an FTP. So data will be ingested into an FTP on an hourly basis, and this data where I'm going to create an automation, right? Automation with the import file activity. So this import file activity, what it does is it'll go and then create a data extension. It'll ingest the data into data extension, right? And then the data extension I can leverage into journey builder. and that journey builder will trigger an email. Simple, right? So all this automation, that whatever we created, the import definition processes will monitor under import definitions here. All the import definitions, whatever you have performed, either API or either all this catalog, feed, content, customer orders and all, it can be done through Automation Studio, because it's a completely new process. So here you can be able to see all the definition that what we created as a part of an automations. See here in the automations, I created an FTP import activity, something the same kind of a concept, but this time I use a Salesforce Commerce Cloud. So all the automations here, you could look into it. I create Commerce Cloud automations. These automations, I use the import file drop activity. I look at the workflow activity. I have catalog feed, order feed, promotion feed, customer feed, content feed, all these feeds that what I've created. I've used the same kind of a concept where I'm going to use activity definition, my external key. I imported the data from my incoming folder of FTP, nothing but videos incoming. And I have used the same settings, and I've used the destination. I use the mapping concept. I use to review the everything, and I click on submit. So whenever the job runs, normally what will happen is it automatically create one activity under imports, under contact builder, to monitor the process. If you want to re-trigger the same process again to run the automations, you no need to go to the automations directly. You can have an option to go here, and then you could run the process here itself. So here you have an option, click on action. Now you can click on action, it will automatically start the import definition process to trigger an automation. So like this, you have a full flexible management of the import definitions. And as I told, right, in Journey Builder, I can leverage the same keys and API entry event keys. So in journeys, if you can go to my order confirmation, let's take this order confirmation. So this order confirmation, see here, I use my order confirmation data extension to ingest the data and send a confirmation email. So the event definition key that what I've used. So this is very, very important. Just click on it, you'll understand from where I've used the definition key. So like this, you have so much of flexibility of managing your real-time communications using import definition process. And yep, and yeah, pretty much that's what import definition, the import process in Marketing Cloud does that. So it's a very small topic, but it has a lot of significance. So it is, you see here, you see many things using this process, right? That's where I really like the concept of this. And all you can monitor all the definitions here. You could run the automation directly from here, and at the same time, you could see your import definition details also. You can see the details. You can see the mapping of the import definition. You can see the history of the import definition. All these details available. If you don't want this import definition to be created or to be run automatically, you can just delete this import automation as click on. You can delete automatically those definitions. You don't need to worry about for those things. Because if you don't want this, I think it's better to clean up always rather than keeping you with imports to make your Marketing Cloud account will be more secure and configurable. So that's the process. Let me go back and then I'll run through a couple of information. So these are all the operations what we have seen performed by import definition. We created an import definition, we edit the definition, we delete the definition. And as I've told, so there are some definition actions available. Skip rows in the import file with bad data. So if any process encounters with bad data in file, you can skip that. You can, and double quotation making as the text qualifier. Normalize the numbers based on locale. So if there any numerical values doesn't matches with the file, then it automatically treating as a local value. And this is how the screens look like when you create a data extension, the import definition activity. And you see here, if the file exceeds more than 20 MB, I would recommend to choose FTP rather than this. And the system also won't support you if the file exceeds more than 20 MB. Okay. And the one which I've showcased, how to delete, view, and edit the import definition. So you could always, if you don't want this, I would recommend strongly to delete that rather than increase the performance of the Marketing Cloud. If any unwanted import definitions which you've seen for some marketers used for ad hoc purpose, I think I would recommend to delete those kind of activities. And pretty much, and this is the reference material. You can look into how an import process works in Marketing Cloud, and it doesn't contain all the all the ones that what I've explained in a real time, but it just give you the details about what is import process does and what it can done and all the details. I'll just showcase what it does. It is just to know about import definition, but it not will give you all this kind of solutions. Yeah, just like what is import contact builder, what it does, what is edit, delete, and view. That's it. So in a real time, you have to understand the importance of this so that you'll be more happy to do it for your customers, because there are many ways in marketing cloud to done a lot of stuff, but this is one of the easy process to automate your entire data to be imported easily into marketing cloud. Okay, so that's it from my side today, team. Thank you so much. Just short session, as I've told you, just 30-40 minute session. I hope you understand the concept of import process, which you could take it to the further level. Let me see if anyone has any questions. Okay, let me know if anyone has any questions. I'll happy to answer those questions as well. If not, I think I'll hand over it to Kathy. So probably you can finish it off.
Thank you so much, Fanindra, for such an insightful session. Uh, can you please just go to Q&A, because for some reason my Bevy is not working.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah.
No, not a problem.
Let's just have a look in case Q&A section.
I don't think so any questions, because it is just I think very few people know the benefits of import definition.
Right.
Normally, all the people will go in a different way to build it, but ideally, whatever I have showcased here, you could leverage this kind of a concept to make it more easy for your lives.
Right. You have definitely explained it very excellently, and thank you so much. We will wait for a minute in case anyone has any questions. Please post it in the chat, and if not, we can close the session.
Yep.
Can you please click on the Q&A tab just beside the general? Yes.
Is there any coding part in Marketing Cloud? Of course, there's a coding part in Marketing Cloud, which is not covered in this sessions normally. There's a concept of AMP script. I think in Content Builder, you will get the AMP script leveragement, right, Kathy? So I don't know whether when you're going to schedule that. So we'll happy to give a session on AMP script as well, and cloud pages and multiple best practices while building the best practices with AMP script and all the stuff.
Right. So we do have AMP script in Marketing Cloud, and we can also leverage AMP script from Interaction Studio as well. So there are many studios and builders wherein you can basically leverage coding in Marketing Cloud. So we will be covering these in the upcoming sessions. So stay tuned.
There is a question, Kathy. Hi, I'm doing my digital marketing executive. I want to learn marketing cloud. Shakil Muhammad. I think Shakil, Kathy have arranged a lot of sessions on the marketing cloud last year as well. I think it covers all the marketing cloud concepts. Probably you could give your YouTube video on the chart, Kathy, so that at least people will take it forward and learn something on this.
Yes. So, guys, if you go to the YouTube channel, I have mentioned it above. You will see an introduction of Marketing Cloud, wherein you'll understand on how the Marketing Cloud works, what all like necessities are there, and how does it work. So you'll be able to understand on where to go, and then we are running this workshop for the Marketing Cloud people who wants to get into and understand how Marketing Cloud works. So it's a step by step playlist. You can just go ahead and learn. And because we don't have any platform or org, as you are saying, we don't have any Marketing Cloud orgs to be readily available to practice like you want to. That is why we are providing these workshops wherein you can have the look and feel of the cloud. Fanindra, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a common problem, Shakil. So there's no platform for Salesforce, especially for marketers who can give trying something, try yourself, But definitely, Marketing Cloud team is thinking to provide you the to provide your Marketing Cloud instance in near future, where you can practice yourself and then you can learn something from Marketing Cloud. I think you can keep looking into Marketing Cloud notifications. You will see something for sure in the near future. I think the only option, Shakil, I can recommend you is something to understand the concepts of Marketing Cloud. Just go to the trailhead and then understand the system of records and Marketing Cloud topics, admin, email specialist, and all, and just participate some of the sessions conducting by Trailblazer community groups, so that you'll understand. Of course, you'll not get a hands-on, but at least you understand something, and then you can relate with your interviews as well. Yeah, anything you required, you can reach out to us, or we can happy to help you out for any Marketing Cloud material you required. Maybe the right blogs to reach out for your interview preparation or anything as such. I think you could just ping me in LinkedIn. I'll happy to help you out.
Thank you so much, Faninendra, for answering that question and helping him out. And thank you so much for taking the session so much excellently.